I'm just waiting for people to unmute. All right, waiting for Julia to connect. I'm sorry, Holly, what was Julia's last name? Bird. Oh.
I-R-D.
Thank you.
I don't know if she's going to or not.
She's in the waiting room. I'm trying to connect or get her to connect, but I keep getting dots, so I don't know if she's, I've noticed sometimes when it's just via phone without the video, sometimes it takes a long time, if at all. Sometimes we might have to kick them completely out and they have to come back in.
Julia doesn't have a microphone.
Your Honor, Julia's connected. I'm just waiting for her to unmute.
She doesn't have a microphone, so I don't know if she'll be able to.
Just viewing then, Jason?
Yes.
Or just listening? Okay. All right, I think you should have everyone, Your Honor.
All right, I'll call the case in just a sec.
What's that? Yeah, I'll come over. I got everyone in there now, so. You did that by the. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the little card.
All right, we're going to deal with two cases today. It's file number 19-20500CZ and 18-20367CZ. Both of these are the Newaygo County Treasurer versus James Varga. The court recognizes that Diane Longoria, appearing here on behalf of the defendant. And could you put your appearance on the record, please, sir?
Charles Lawler, P65164, on behalf of the Newaygo County Treasurer. And I do have a filed appearance in the 19-20500CZ matter.
Okay, thank you, sir. So this is your motion, Ms. Longoria. You can go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Varga has, you don't dispute that he did not get his taxes paid in by the June 29th timeframe. However, as set forth in the memorandum, Mr. Varga and we are asking for a relief from the judgment in order to set aside the judgment for excusable neglect. As is indicated, and Mr. Varga can testify, he has had a lot of health issues, and then that has been compounded by the COVID-19. He's indicated that he received notice, he received a notice for the 2016s being delinquent, and he paid taxes, and then he received notice for 2017, and somehow he got those mixed up and said, well, I already paid that, and so then he called the court, he indicates that he tried to call the court, he talked to someone, and then he tried to call again, and he got the recording while the court was shut down, or while the office was shut down due to COVID. He indicates that he, and as is attached to the opposing counsel's pleadings that I received, they acknowledge that he sent a $1,400 check, but they didn't receive it until August. I believe it was like dated the 24th of August or something. And that was for $1,400, which would have covered the, I believe it's $1,179 that was due on the taxes. Mr. Varga had, in 2016, his taxes, his mortgage was paid off. His taxes had previously been being paid by the mortgage company, and in the meantime, has been struggling with some health issues. He was having problems with memory, with headaches and such, and then he had some problems with his knee. He went in when they were doing the tests to determine whether or not he could go forward with his knee surgery. They learned that he'd been having strokes, and so that explains his confusion, his issues that he's been having. So his home is paid in full. He thought he had taken care of his taxes, and then when the COVID hit, he was trying to find out how much he had to pay, what he needed to pay, because he was confused between the 16 and the 17s, didn't know exactly how much he needed to pay. And so finally in August, he just sent $1,400 in, hoping that that would take care of it all, because he wasn't sure how much he had to pay. He still has the $1,400 that he can pay today. If there's any other, I'm sure there's going to be expenses now. If the court were to allow him to regain his property, he would need till the 3rd to pay any additional funds when he receives his disability check. But between the combination of his health and COVID hitting and his mortgage being paid off, and where the taxes weren't being automatically paid, I think there's several reasons there for excusable neglect, and he would ask that the court allow him a relief from judgment, allow him to redeem his property, take care of the taxes and any expenses that the Treasurer's Office has in preparation of today's hearing, and for any costs that they have already expended towards this auction of property. And I would also like to apologize. There was Mr. Lawler who contacted my office, but I was of the understanding that he was the auctioneer. I didn't realize he was the attorney of record. So my apologies, Mr. Lawler.
All right, so I guess one of the big questions that I have is the interplay between the motion for relief from judgment and MCL 21178K 5G, which says the court basically shall not modify, stay, or held invalid any judgment for foreclosure after the statute says March 31st, which would have been extended to June 29th. So do you have any cases that say that the relief from judgment applies in light of 21178K?
I do not have any that specifically applies to that, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Lawler, did you want to make, I guess I'm looking at this as kind of an opening statement that there may be testimony necessary, but did you want to make any preliminary remarks, sir?
Thank you, Your Honor. The first thing is no apologies necessary, confusing me with the auctioneer. But I'd say Your Honor, you're spot on the issue. The treasurer here has done everything. Well, let me backtrack for a second. The first thing is, I don't think that the 1820367 CZ case should even be at play here, because that would have been the foreclosure of his 16 taxes, and those were already paid, and that's a non-issue. And that may have caused some of the confusion in me getting noticed and the other things on this case. The second thing, Your Honor, is when you cited 21178K5, G, that's spot on. There's no case law out there that allows to amend. I can't remember the exact verbiage. I have it here on my desk. I could get it, but you can't change the judgment of foreclosure unless there's a due process issue. And the due process issue was in the Wayside church case or the Perfecting Church case in Detroit. So this is pretty cut and dry. The treasurer did everything they were supposed to do. The treasurer got certified, signed for mail notice to Mr. Varga. The treasurer actually reached out in January of this year, and it's documented in the treasurer's notes, to call Mr. Varga and say, hey, we've got an issue with your 2017 taxes. What are you going to do about it? And left a message, and there was no return call. And then in regard to the COVID, you've already hit on the point that the governor gave everybody 3 months extra to pay. And unfortunately for Mr. Varga, the check didn't get there till 6 weeks after the deadline. So respectfully, it's pretty cut and dry the way I see it. And I'm happy to prepare an order if you see it the same way, Your Honor.
Well, obviously the court doesn't want to take Mr. Varga's home from him with this process. Of course, I wish he would have paid on time, then we wouldn't be here. But does the court have any authority at all to make any exceptions in this case? I'd ask you first, Mr. Waller, then I'd ask Ms. Longoria if there's anything.
Well, truthfully, Your Honor, you sit in a place where you can make whatever decision you'd like to make. If you're asking me if the treasurer chose to appeal it and it would hold up under appeal, I would tell you no. Because I've litigated this thing at the Court of Appeals 2 or 3 times before. And unfortunately, I'm not there in the courtroom. Is there a way that we can go off the record with Zoom here and I can talk to the county treasurer who's sitting there?
Yes, we can stop the live stream, but as far as a private conversation with the treasurer, you may have to call her cell phone or something. She could take a call that way. So you're asking for a brief recess of the proceedings today, Mr. Waller?
Well, I guess, Your Honor, for a minute I would like to, so I could talk to Holly Moon.
Okay, so